it's time for Talkin' Ball. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Jerry Hamilton. This episode of Talkin' Ball and everyone on Monday night, brought to you by our friend Dr. Brett Robin, the former Longhorn football player, who is one of the doctors or medical professionals at Austin Orthopedic Institute. He's an orthopedic doctor. Anyways, Jerry, you and I are going to take questions tonight, particularly about recruiting, given that there has been some movement today. Couple of news and notes. First of all, Vodney Cleveland, the defensive tackle out of Birmingham Parker High School in Birmingham, Alabama, visited Texas over the weekend. He went back home today, Jerry, and decided that he would cancel his Miami visit. Texas, along with Auburn, Alabama, and then Florida expected to be the finalists. It sounds to me, at least, Jerry, like it's a Texas-Florida battle at this point. And then secondly, Sam Roseborough, who was at Texas over the weekend for a official visit, had been to A&M the weekend before, has now committed to Texas A&M. Roseborough, Jerry, you mentioned on Coffee and Football this morning, had probably a higher bid of sorts from an NIL perspective at A&M than he did Texas. He follows through and takes that. What that does for Texas and offensive line situation right now, we will see as the Longhorns have a couple of guys coming in this weekend, had several guys in last weekend. Also, Malachi Lee, one of the top players on the board for any team out there, the big offensive lineman out of Hawaii, announced his commitment date will be June 27th, I believe. Also, last but not least, Trenton Henderson, defensive end out of Pensacola, Florida.
Which we had reported last week multiple times.
And we had reported it last week, but he has now officially set up his official visit to Texas for this weekend. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about it. Jerry, we're going to hit your questions. So get them into us using the chat line. Jerry will answer as many as he can. We'll get to as many as he can. And my wife wants to know, why is Bobby just a floating head? She loves the camo look today.
I get to ask the first question tonight. Hey, Joe Z, did you fly or drive to Eugene? He came in here saying he was going to bully me. I'm ready.
All right, Jerry. One more point to make. Drake Quinn, the defensive end out of Buford, Georgia, had thought he might make a decision before the end of this week. He is now saying that he will definitely take his official visit to Notre Dame this weekend. Had also already visited Clemson as well as Texas. So a bunch of stuff going on, a lot of movement in and out of different situations.
By the way, Lamar Brown's visiting LSU now too.
He is?
This stuff is.
So there you go. Jedi Master Bevo wants to know, did LSU match Aggie's offer to Lamar Brown? The answer is we don't know, but it wouldn't be surprising.
I think that recruitment will play out into the season, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to get to more of your questions, but before we do, I want to say thank you. Each and every Monday night's Talking Ball brought to you by Dr. Brett Robin of Austin Orthopedic Institute for sponsoring On Texas Football. Dr. Robin, the former Longhorn running back, knows what it takes to stay in the game, and he's here for athletes of all ages, specializing in musculoskeletal health. Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach first, but also offers advanced surgical options, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, and total joint replacements. With convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen, Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. If you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic, give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. Make sure you get him a call. He is a top-notch guy, someone that we've known for 20-plus years now, Jerry, in and around Texas football. All right, Jerry, let's go. You ready to take some questions?
Yes.
We've got them lined up here, and so let's start with KD35. I am the best. I'm interested to see how much Texas pushes and attacks to beat out Florida for Trenton Henderson this weekend. I got to ask you this, with Lamar Brown, Jerry, looking like either A&M or LSU, just in my estimation, from an outside looking in, does Trenton Henderson become a bigger prospect, or was he always as big as he is? I mean, what's the deal?
Nah, I think this guy's one of the very best players, prospects in the country. I was at his spring jamboree, and I'm here to tell you he is a legitimate 5-star prospect for me. Not a rankings inflated one for different reasons. He is a legitimate guy. I don't think they have anything to do with each other. He's an edge, and Texas just been working. Like when I was at the jamboree, I talked to him before, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't have anything set up to Texas. I'm not sure I'm going to go to Texas." So I pretty much came back here and said, "Hey, he doesn't have anything set up to Texas. It doesn't sound like he's going to be on campus, but we'll see if anything happens down the line." I wasn't thinking that down the line would be this soon in June, honestly, when I left there. I will say somebody close to that, one of the coaches on that staff, said he's really open in this process. And it's kind of proven out that way because he changed a lot of official visits around from the beginning to now. But, Florida's got some momentum right now in recruiting. So, that'll be interesting to see if Texas or anybody else, LSU, Auburn, can get him to leave his home state. Auburn is probably the school closest to his house, but I'm not saying that's where he's going to go. Or
Florida State. State.
They're not really in it.
Right.
I mean, so it's like it'll be. I don't. To answer your question, I don't know yet because he's been on campus once last week unofficially. So he is very green in the process with Texas, meaning he just doesn't. He's going to be learning more about Texas this weekend, him and his family. But I'll say this: it does give Texas the ability to shock and awe, come from behind in this recruitment because that's the reality of it. He's been on campus at Florida or Auburn multiple times and a lot more than Texas.
All right, this one from Todd Lacey. Thanks for the super chat. How many high school recruits will Texas take in 2026? Jerry, you and I tried to pencil this out. We think between 28 and 30, but remember 3 of those are specialists.
Yeah.
A kicker, a punter, and a deep snapper. What are you still 28 to 30 now, 2.5 weeks into this official visit cycle?
Yeah, I am. I think that's going to be around about the number every year. Especially, let's say, considering it's 85, if we're still playing at the 85 number, I do think that's going to be about what it is every year because you're going to have the churn of seniors, early NFL draft entries, and portal guys. And I think it's always going to kind of work itself out to that number every single year.
Good question here from Derek Beth. Who should be or will be the highest NIL earner in the class? I tell you what, it's hard to beat the quarterback. If you're as good as a quarterback as Dia Bell might end up being. Bell, by the way, out of
the Elite 11 right now.
Yeah, he's out there right now at the Elite 11. And that's I think we'll find out a little bit more after that, how highly he is ranked for whatever reason. But you think it's always going to be not always, but most of the time going to be the quarterback, Jerry?
If they're a 5-star, absolutely. I mean, and he is a 5-star. And look, y'all know me. I'm not the biggest Elite 11 guy. I've covered it for years. I don't make it an every year thing for me. Because the best part of Elite 11 is not what you get to see. It's on the board in the room with the coaches. The on the air stuff. I've seen Diabell on practice field 3 times. I'm not going to see anything I haven't seen before at Elite 11. But the quarterback's going to be. He's Gatorade Player of the Year in that state too, and he can sign NIL deals in high school in Florida right now, and he's already got them. So he is easily going to be the highest earner in this class, in my opinion.
Juan Garza, does Arch Manning have a better team than his uncles had to win a national championship? Definitely better than Eli. Let's talk about Tennessee. Also, is Texas A&M leading with NIL over just recruiting development? I don't know how A&M recruits. I want to be clear on that. I do think that they start the conversation about NIL sooner than some teams because they have to. Yeah. And I'm not saying that Texas shouldn't have done it at one point in time either, or some other team. I wouldn't throw stones, I guess is the best way to put it. But my point is, yeah, they do lead a little bit with that, but they look, Mike Elko's trying to sell the dream right now. There's no doubt about that. And so he's probably leading with everything he's got, to be honest. Arch Manning has a similar team to what Peyton Manning had. Peyton Manning's senior year, his final year at Tennessee, they were really, really good. They just couldn't beat Florida. The very next year after Peyton left, T. Martin took the Vols to the national championship So I think that they have a similar team to Peyton's senior year at Tennessee. I don't know if Texas will get over the hump or not. But
since we're on the A&M topic, I want to talk about the Sam Roseborough thing for a second, because I want to be clear on this. I think I thought it before I went to Clearwater High School. I think Sam Roseborough is a tremendous prospect. I don't care where y'all know me. I don't care where these kids go to college. My opinion on players does not change. I did this nationally for a long time. It doesn't matter to me if I think guy's really good. I think he's really good. Texas wanted Sam Roseborough, but look, there's decisions. A&M didn't have an offensive lineman in the class, so they have high value in what's left out there for him of the highest ranked guys. And that doesn't mean Texas would have accepted a commitment from Samuel Roseborough today if he wanted to commit. The reality is they're little different places as far as the NIL part of this recruitment. And look, I'm not that's just the way it is. Sometimes you have to make decisions on, you have guys slotted different places, and some people out of necessity may have somebody slotted a different place. And that becomes part of it. And so Vivek B said, is Roseborough even as good as Crippen or Turntime? Well, he doesn't even Turntime to tackle all the way for me. So Roseborough and Crippen are the two for Texas. And I mean, look, I think Roseborough's a higher. I happen to think he's a better prospect. That doesn't mean in 5 years he'll be a better player. I think he's a better prospect. And I think Crippen's a really good prospect. Or you're kind of, picking nits. I mean, those guys are both 4-star prospects. It's kind of where people have them ranked and what they like with guys, or like more with guys. But him and Roseborough and Turntime aren't even comparable. But Roseborough and Crippen. So now it becomes interesting. Crippen's still going to visit Michigan this weekend. Where does that go for Texas?
Yeah, and you've got Turntime. You mentioned Felix Ojo now visiting Utah, I believe, another offensive tackle. Then you also have Malachi Lee that came out and said, I think he's going to commit on the 26th or 27th of this month.
Yeah, he's got Michigan this weekend.
Yeah, he's got Michigan this weekend. So there's a lot of stuff going on around there. Jedi Master Bevo, Jerry, has this one for you. With Cleveland canceling the Miami trip, is this a good sign for Florida or Texas since he was just here?
Yes. So it's Texas, Florida, and North Carolina. He did the midweek in North Carolina last week. So they're in it. I think Texas had a really, really good visit. I'll say that. So, that's what I'll say. We'll see where it goes in 5 days, Saturday.
Yeah, yes. We never know. I think he's announcing on June 21st is what he said, Jerry. Yes. I'd love us to look at his film in just a second here, because I really, really enjoyed watching him on his way in. I took I do the same thing. We all watch and get acquainted with the players, but when they start to take visits, we start to try to watch and look at more of them. I got a chance to look at another bit of his film, and he is an impressive dude. I hope Matt, our producer, can bring that up here in a little bit, and maybe we could talk about it. There's King Kong. That's part of his highlight.
That's exactly what he looked like in Bergstrom Airport.
Were his arms that hairy, Jerry?
So by the way, on this D line, the edge there's going to Auburn. The other D tackle's going to Auburn. Jordan Crawford, who reminds me of Casey Hampton. I think that guy's phenomenal. So this guy played on a D line with 3 SEC guys on it. That is very rare. I mean, very rare. Buford may have that this year. But, I mean, he is strong point of attacker. He's an over-the-ball player that can also play in the gap, Bobby. And again, he had 50 tackles, I think 5.5 sacks. But one thing to know on the numbers with him is there's 3 guys competing for the ball carrier on this team. They were all converging. And the Jordan Crawford guy's an absolute beast. I think he had 85 tackles and 25 for loss as a senior. So he was gobbling up a lot of it. But Vodney Cleveland, a really talented player, a lot of natural strength to him and playing strength, Bobby. That's the thing that stands out.
I would say this. He pushes the pocket as an interior guy. He's not just a pin your ears back and rush the passer kind of guy. He can do it. But I think he may push the pocket as well as anybody Texas has currently committed between Dylan Berryman and Corey Wells at this point, Jerry. I think that Vodney Cleveland would be a really, really good pickup for the Longhorns.
Yes.
All right, we'll keep going here and talking a little bit more. Jerry, what about Dre Quinn? I mentioned him at the outset, defensive end out of Atlanta area, transferred into Buford, Georgia this year. Where's the situation? What's the situation with him right now?
As you mentioned, when he was leaving his official visit, he told everybody, whether they either saw him in person or on the phone afterwards, that he was not going to make the Notre Dame visit more than likely, and it was going to be Texas or Clemson. So with Georgia probably number 3 in that, but I don't see that. But what it does tell you is Notre Dame's fighting for him. And that tells you how good these college coaches think he is. Because again, I said this before, that guy's only visiting teams that were in the college football playoff last year. Go down all your list of players and find how many guys just visited teams only in the college football playoff last year. That tells you how much these colleges like him. Rankings be damned. So we'll see where that goes with Dre Quinn. Could it be a Clemson is telling him you can play more early if you come here? Could that be part of his recruitment? I think he's had 2 great visits to Texas. But if he does make that trip to Notre Dame, then all bets are off where it was a week ago.
Looking at something here. This one from ROKits 27 wants to talk a little team news or team thought. In 2026, think we'll play Ole Miss, Tennessee, and LSU. I was looking at this. So I think Jerry's been on this from the outset. I think Texas is going to play Ole Miss because of the Arch Manning whole saga. I don't know that Tennessee's a definite. It's likely. LSU, you would think, is a likely as well. Here's the reality. If they keep it at 8 conference games, Texas is always going to be playing OU and A&M.
Yeah.
So it only gives you 6 new opponents that you could, if Arkansas falls off and all these other falls off, it only gives you 6. So you're not going to necessarily get Alabama, Auburn, and South Carolina as well as everybody. I mean, there's going to be a couple teams that get left out there. So I don't know if Ole Miss or Tennessee would be one of those. I'm with you. The schedule gods have to bring Ole Miss.
And I think the schedule gods are going to bring all 3 because it will be year 2 with Arch and it'll be last year with Arch more than likely. I think they'll play at Ole Miss and at LSU, and Tennessee will come to Austin. That's my bet.
Tyler Sledge, if there was anybody worthy of a 6th star as a recruit.
Bobby and I have had this discussion before. Should there be a 6th star in the rankings at any point?
Dude, it's all, I mean, look, we created the 5 stars for a couple reasons. One, 5-star generals, right? That's the whole part of it. But really, we chose stars back in the days. I mean, I was in the room. We chose stars over diamonds and chips because guess what? On a color screen, diamonds don't look really interesting, but gold stars do. That's why we went with why we went with stars over diamonds, because there's also 5 diamond rankings, if you know, back in the day. And I'm talking about this is like 1998 when we did this. And then the other one were chips, and chips red and blue just doesn't look right. And
that's not a marketing display.
Yeah. So, 5-star, if 5-star general, should there be a 6-star? I've said it before. If I ever had one to give, it would have been to Vince Young. Jerry's had some other guys.
I've seen 3. I've seen 3 at the high school level. And that was Vince, Adrian Peterson, and Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Ekim. Jerry, does Texas get one of Cleveland or Gerville?
Oh, no, they take both. They take both.
Do they at least get one? Do you think it's possible they get both?
I think it's possible. Yeah. Valdon Sone's coming in this weekend as well with Kendall Gerville. James Johnson, I do not think is coming in this weekend. Now, he was scheduled to. I don't think that visit's going to happen. We'll see if anything changes. This stuff is changing by the hour. But I think Texas wants 2 more defensive linemen in this class on the interior. And then if they got 4 now, I don't think it's out of the question if a Jamion Winfield or Lamar Brown or somebody came back around during the season. You're not going to turn down Jamion Winfield if he ever wanted to jump in.
Okay. Juan Garza, how good? Thanks for the super chat, Juan. How good is Notre Dame's NIL in your opinion? I hear it's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's legit. They're not, they don't have an empty gun. I'll put it that way. if that makes sense for you, Juan. That's one that.
And by the way, with Marcus Freeman's success, they have more behind it than ever.
Oh yeah, I mean they're playing a good brand of football. We'll see. I tell you what, Jerry, I talked to somebody 2 days ago, Tim Priester, the guy at Irish Illustrated. I've known him for 25 years, 30 years, going way back when we were both a lot younger. And he told me that he hears CJ Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson, the former Michigan coach, is just he thinks that the word on the streets, he's going to be terrific. Has some athleticism to him, has some know-how and some moxie and some ability. So they think they might be. He's not as athletic as Riley Leonard, is what Tim told me, but he thinks he may end up being a better passer.
Well, they have to be extremely high on him because they could have gone to the portal.
Yes.
In a way. And they did not. So
some thought that it might be Notre Dame that was after Quinn Ewers for X million a year. Don't forget that, right? Ian Donaldson.
Can I say something on Notre Dame, though? What makes your NIL robust is a coach that the alumni are proud to put their money behind.
It helps.
It's big.
It helps. Maybe that's why it dried up a little bit for Jimbo Fisher there at the end. Ian Donaldson, guys, if you had to guess which freshman will see the most snaps for Texas this season, who would it be? Jerry, do you have a favorite?
I think Nick Brooks is going to be in the convo. I think Jonah Williams will be in the convo.
For most snaps.
Well, I mean, here's the reason I say that. Because Texas was injury-free on the offensive line for 2 years. Then what happened last year? Trevor Gooseby played a lot more snaps than people expected him to. It's what are the odds you're actually going to have 5 offensive line starters 15 games in a row? I just don't think it's very high. Jonah Williams will be in that mix. I think Justice Terry will play a lot of snaps this season as the season moves along. One of the wide receivers probably will, because is everybody going to be healthy all year? I mean, that's really what I'm looking at. Who could Cade Phillips? Where is there somebody going to get nicked up and miss a couple of games and suddenly somebody's playing 50 snaps a game?
I'm gonna go out there, and I agree with you. I'm gonna put a name out there that nobody's really thinking of in this category, and that's Grayson Littleton.
Yeah.
Just an idea. I'm not sure how or why or any of that stuff. But I think it's incredibly possible.
One of your sleepers is one of the tight ends.
Yeah, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't know what injuries is going to do. And if injuries, Shannon and Washington are all healthy, let's see what happens at tight end. Vivek B, how much is A&M offering Lamar Brown, do you think? $2.5 to $3 million a year. Will Texas ever exceed $2 million? I don't think Texas has limits like that, if that makes sense. I mean, I think it depends on the market. I will say this, that given the new parameters, when a whole football team has a parameter of roughly $17.5 million before Nike and all of those come into play, or smaller side deals, I don't know how anybody can pay $2.5 million to a true freshman.
Well, and by the way,
150 roster.
So it may be time to start talking about the loopholes that are going to be used if the House settlement goes through.
If there are loopholes,
because the reality is Deloitte is not going to okay $3 million a year for a high school defensive lineman. No chance. So what are the loopholes? Is it going to be big deal signing bonuses, and then your NIL is a lot lower when you get to college and actually start the clock on that? Is it going to be, Bobby, donations to area businesses through the collectives that are going to get it done outside of the House, the it's going to be interesting to see how people are going to maneuver. The people are going to maneuver, but it's how are they going to maneuver?
Well, I think the first thing that's going to happen is Deloitte's going to get tested in court. The question is how quickly. I mean, that's I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. DM, I don't think it's whether Texas wants to match or anything like that. I think that, look, I mean, Texas can play ball with anybody. We've seen that historically. What's your take on Texas not pushing for wide receiver Booby Feaster? Seems like we're behind for some big time wide receivers.
I don't know about that. Let's see what happens to Jalen Lott and Caden Finley. I mean, look, the reality is Texas like guys better. Are they right? We'll find out in a few years. But that's
then Booby Feaster they did for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so
theoretically, they went stronger after Cohen Brown than they went after Booby Feaster.
Yeah.
Same with Caden Finley and Jalen Lott.
Yes.
So, and Chris Stewart for that matter. All right. Aaron Guerra, 1999 Super Chat. Thank you so much, buddy. CJ comment about Roseborough not being dropped off by Texas staff was telling. Hope we get Crippen now that one domino has gone down. Thank you both for all you do. Let's circle back to what we talked about at the very outset here, Jerry, because we've had some people join us, obviously. Break down how and what happened today with Sam Roseborough, who committed to Texas A&M over Texas, and just lay it all out there for everybody.
Well, the only thing I'd say about this to start is people have to remember he has family in Austin now. His mom lives in Austin. So Texas didn't need to technically drive him to the airport when his family could drive him to the airport. Yeah, so I mean, look, it's Texas wanted Roseborough. He could have committed to them today, but these colleges have guys slotted in different spots. Some of it could be need. A&M didn't have an offensive lineman committed before today, and they don't have a lot of numbers officially visiting either. So they made big runs here at 2 or 3 of their guys on the board at the top of their board, and they won out for Roseborough. Now Texas, obviously, you have guys slotted in different areas, and you have other maybe high. And Roseborough, I think, is a tremendous prospect. I mean, I think he's really good. I saw him in person. Loved him on tape before I saw him in person. But these guys are going to have some players slotted different depending on need and who else is on your board and where you're at in your recruiting class. And I simply think it came down to that. I think Roseborough preferred Texas from a football standpoint.
You mean A&M or Texas?
Texas.
And then A&M, though, NIL, where you kind of what you thought. It makes sense. All right, let's keep going here. We got a couple more questions coming in that I think are good ones. Jameson, Washington. This is a good one. Jerry and Bobby, is it possible for Texas to land the 2 Georgia linebackers, Braden Rouse out of Marietta and Xavier Griffin? Jerry, your thoughts on that? I know that you've been saying that Rouse is a Texas-Tennessee battle with the Volunteers maybe a little in front. Xavier Griffin, it sounds like Alabama has made a late surge, but Texas trying to hold on right now.
Yeah, Griffin will visit FSU this weekend. Look, this is where recruiting gets fun. There's confidence on the Texas side. There's confidence on the Alabama side for Xavier Griffin. So we're 13 days away, June 29th. Is Ohio State totally out of it? I don't know. I think he'll stay closer to home. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's confidence on both sides, though. I will say that, and that's where this recruiting stuff gets fun. Braden Rouse, look, Tennessee's been recruiting him 2 years. So Texas will have to overcome that. I think he's a good fit at Texas personality-wise. I can see why Texas loves him, and I think he's tremendous on tape. Johnny Nansen got to spend a lot more time with him this weekend because that's been more of Kenny Baker as the area guy and Lyle Clark along with Johnny Nansen. So Nansen got a more extended time with him this weekend, but they have ground to make up with Tennessee. Alabama's number 3 and Michigan's 4 in that recruitment going into this weekend. Just to finish off, has Texas moved on from Tyler Atkinson? They both moved on from each other. I think Atkinson is Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oregon.
All right, Slick Rick, Jerry, and Bobby, in your opinion, who is a bigger get for Texas, Turntine or Ojo? Who has a higher ceiling? Texas won't get both. You agree that Texas won't get both, and then let's break down the other part of the question as well.
I'm not ready to say that yet. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that. Bigger kid, I mean, look, that depends on who people have, where people have them ranked. We have Tom Turntine a 5-star. We've had him as a 5-star for well over a year. I think Tom Turntine's a tremendous football player. Tremendous football player. I think Ojo's got a high ceiling. So we'll see where that goes. And a lot of people just will look at height, weight, and say higher ceiling for Ojo over Turntine. I mean, there are a lot of guys that projected better than Kelvin Banks. And I'm not saying they're the same, but all I'm saying is there were guys that projected better.
Yep.
If you're a great
it
player,
happens every year. Sometimes you're just a good football player.
Yeah.
Jerry, when do you think CJ will begin to get significant game snaps?
That's a question that I don't even think the Texas staff can answer right now, because there were some, and it kind of created a bunch of questions for us. Is he cleared for football? He's not cleared for contact football. No, I mean, he's cleared for the next part of his process, which is, doing a little more movement with the knee brace on, catching swing passes, doing things like that. The next part of that. That does not mean this guy's lacing him up and taking hits, running inside zone tomorrow. Not at all. That's not where we're at.
He's not. Look, people can work out without being full steam ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be clear. I mean, you saw him Saturday at the softball workout, or at the softball celebration. Excuse me. He was limping still.
Very slight, but he's not, yeah. I mean, look, he's getting his strength back. His legs are back to almost being the same size. I've said that before. So he's building his strength back. So now that he's building his strength back, he can get to the next part of that, which is the next part is the movement stuff, the more movement stuff, more extended movement stuff, more planting. That's the next part of his process. But I'm here to tell you, if Texas is playing a game tomorrow, he ain't playing. Is he going to be ready by August 30th? We'll see. He would get ahead of schedule if he was. From where he was.
We're going to go to the top of the hour today with everyone taking your questions. Make sure you get them in. Matt will line them up for me so we can take them. Before we do that, though, I want to say thanks one more time to our sponsor of every Monday night's Talkin' Ball, where we take questions from the audience. I talk a lot of recruiting. It's special thanks to Dr. Brett Robin at Austin Orthopedic Institute for sponsoring On Texas Football. Dr. Robin, the former Longhorn running back, knows what it takes to stay in the game, and he's here for athletes of all ages, specializing in musculoskeletal health. Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach first, but also offers advanced surgical options, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, and total joint replacements. With convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen, Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. So if you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic, give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. Let Dr. Brett Robin take care of you. All right, here we go.
Hey, Bobby, I want to clarify something. I just so we're this is out there. We're not saying CJ Baxter has a limp. What we're saying is his gait is not back to 100% where it was.
Hope everybody understands that. We're not. Let's be clear. Everybody that expects someone to have that sort of injury, then all of a sudden it just doesn't work that way. It takes time.
Time.
Yeah. All right, and we're not trying to throw cold water on the idea of it either, of him returning.
It's still a process.
Yes. People want to go from A to Z instead of realizing there's 24 letters between. All right, this is Jedi Master Vivo. Jerry, I know Chase Calicut down at North Shore is projected by some to be a linebacker, but could he be a big nickel like Jelani McDonald? What do you think? Is that a fair comparison? Is Jelani McDonald or Derek Williams the better comp for Chase Calicut, if either of them?
Or a less explosive DeMarvion Overshown? That's a frame. I see some frame similarity with Overshown and Calicut in high school, having been the ARP to see Overshown. And I think Overshown was a little more explosive. And that doesn't mean Calicut's not. I'm just saying we're talking We're talking little minor differences here. But, the guys that have coached at North Shore 2 decades have seen all these players come through. They just think he's that he's going to be at his best when he's closer to the line of scrimmage. And there's some that think he has so much growth on that frame that he could end up being a backer or a hybrid. And I can see that, honestly. He has got like a longer frame than Jonah Williams. He's a little taller with just a longer frame. So I think he's going to be able to stack weight. He could easily weigh 231. They could weigh 215, 220, but he could weigh 230 for sure.
All right. We've got a couple more questions here to get to tonight. Let's go here now to Jeff Marr. Thank you, Jeff, for your super chat. How do you feel about Jarrett Gibson after spring workouts, Jerry? Do you see him having a bigger role this coming season? There's space for him there, especially early in the year, Jerry. That's one of the things we've been trying to hint at. If CJ Baxter's not really ready to go until early October, there's those 4 games in August, September that give someone an opportunity to kind of earn a spot next to Trey Wisner.
Yeah, I've said I think it's going to play out games 2, 3, 4 is where you're really going to see this running back depth chart take shape. And I'm not saying there's not going to be a 2, 3, 4 entering Ohio State, but I think these guys are going to play it out on the field a little bit because it's such an instinctive position. And look, the whole thing for Jarrett Gibson, are you going to hold on to the football this year? If they can trust you, then you can have a lot of value, and he'll be a better player in year 2 than he was year 1. Then where's Christian Clark fit in the equation? Then James Simon. I'm just telling you, James Simon quietly had a really, really good spring. Texas is very high on James Simon. I'm very high on James Simon. I think he's a terrific prospect. So I think these guys are kind of going to battle this out, Bobby, in games 2, 3, and 4. And the off week headed into Florida. I think Ohio State, you'll have it. You'll have your depth chart. But I do think performance when these guys in those games where they're going to get more repetition is going to kind of decide where this depth chart goes. And then when CJ Baxter gets back.
You think, Jerry, if you get, I'm going to put you on the spot here. After Trey Wisner early in the year, you had to pick one. Gibson, Simon, or Clark? Who's number 2 running back? Second most productive behind, given that we think Trey Wisner likely the most productive. Gibson, Clark, or Simon, the next most productive?
I would say if you're going up to play Ohio State, Jarrett Gibson carried it a few times at Michigan. If they trust his ball security in year 2, those are games where experience may matter. He's pass pro'd. He has taken on a lot of college hits against really big people. That's why I could see him being number 2 against Ohio State. Because I do think experience matters in the opening game when it's a really good opponent. Yeah. If Christian Clark is 2, then he had a whale of an August.
Yeah. Now, all right, here we go. Timothy Wooten. Hey, Bobby, Jerry, do you remember Mike Miller?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Went to Notre Dame, was a total jet.
Yeah, he was a smaller guy that could run, like really, really run. Did not have a great career for the Irish, though. And I'm not sure really where he ended up there and what ended up happening. But
him and Jimmy Friday from Willowridge both went to Notre Dame, close to each other.
Yeah, Friday would have been a couple years after, I think.
I think Miller was a senior when Friday. That's back when Fort Bend had 4 schools, and Willowridge was the most talented school in Fort Bend. Now Willowridge is surrounded by Fort Bend, Marshall, Hightower, the new Crawford. They have no chance to hold those kids nowadays.
To this day, a guy from that era, a little bit earlier than that, actually, about 10 years earlier, is the best player to ever come out of Willowridge High School, and his name is Thurman Thomas.
Oh, boy.
Running back for the Buffalo Bills. All right. Any recruits, Jerry, in your opinion, this is from Matthew Stanfield, that aren't currently being talked about who you could see jumping into the class last minute? For example, Justice Terry.
So that's a great question. And I'll say this, who those guys are right now, I'm not sure I can answer that. I think there's some recruitments of guys who will commit somewhere else and they'll actually carry on into the season. But we've talked about this before. Justice Terry really wasn't on the radar at that time. Grayson Littleton wasn't on the radar or even had an offer at that time. You keep going down the list there. Zealous Hicks was not on the radar because he was a 26 and reclassed to 25. Those are three guys that were impactful in Texas signing the number one class in the country at the end of the day. So I do think there's a couple of guys out there, and I'm not sure I can actually identify who they are. I do think there'll be 2 or 3 guys that commit to other schools or are committed to other schools whose recruitments are still going to be in the balance during the season.
Lee wants to know, Jerry, what is up with Aaron Butler? Haven't heard anything about him lately. He was actually up in St. Louis this weekend with Ryan Wingo, Arch Manning, and some other guys doing the camp for the kids there in St. Louis on behalf of Ryan Wingo. What have you heard of late of Aaron Butler? He got passed by maybe some freshmen last I heard, including Dalen McCutcheon, the true freshman out of Lovejoy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge August for him, obviously. And I think, look, when he came out of high school, he only played half his senior year. He had been back and forth between defensive back and wide out. I think there's a lot of development curve with him as a wide receiver. So I think that, you got to have some patience in your development if you're Aaron Butler. But at the same time, you have to be able to hold off the guys coming in the classes behind you. And if he does not do that in August by the start of the season, then he's got some issues.
Yep, I would agree with all of that, basically, that you just put out there, Jerry.
Hey, Bob, I want to bring this one up. Does James Simon have breakaway speed? I think he's very similar athletically to Jonathan Brooks, for what that's worth.
Wow, Jonathan's had pretty good speed now. Let's finish it up with this one. We said we were going to get out of here at the top of the hour. It's right at 8 o'clock. Josie, Bobby, Jerry, who do you think Sark brings to Media Days? We were just actually filing our credentials for Media Days this week, Josie, so we're all going to be there in Atlanta, and I think it's July 15th through 18th, Jerry, is that right?
Yeah.
You got to think he brings Arch.
Yes.
You got to think he brings
Colin.
Who?
Colin and Anthony.
I don't know. I mean, he'll bring 3 guys. I think he'll bring Anthony for sure. I don't know if he'll bring Colin.
Yeah.
Maybe Gooseby or Wisner. What do you think? I mean, I don't know. Oh, Michael Taff has to go.
Well,
you think.
Well, here's the thing, though. When they release your freshmen, your all SEC teams, and your all American teams, I mean, I don't know. I think Hill or Simmons could be on. I don't know. Probably Michael Taft, though. Probably.
Spokesperson for the team a little bit.
And probably Anthony Hill.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it. Thanks again to Dr. Brett Robin for his sponsorship of Austin Orthopedic Institute. Give him a shout. If you want or need a orthopedic consultation, 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. Offices located in Austin, Killeen, and Georgetown. Same day or next day appointments are available, and he is accepting new patients. Again, that's 512-856-1000. All right, Jerry, anything you want to finish with? We started off with the note that Sam Roseborough committed to A&M. Vodney Cleveland canceled his Miami visit, and a number of other little news bits or notes. Anything that you want to end with here?
I'm actually going to end with basketball because Jeff Marr just brought that up. Great article on Texas basketball recruiting. For people that don't follow it as much or don't know, you have Austin Gooseby, Trevor Gooseby's brother in 26. He's going to be a McDonald's All-American. You have Bo Ogden, son of Chris Ogden, 2 of Texas' top targets in 26. The 27 class, college coaches could start making contact with those guys via text or phone call on Sunday. Some of the early offers, Texas had already offered Marcus Spears Jr., Marcus Spears' son, his sister, Marcus's daughter, actually is a freshman volleyball player at Texas. Texas offered Skip DeMailou, Rafer Alston's kid, Reese Alston, who's a tremendous point guard out of Second Baptist in Houston. offered Ryan Hampton, a big 6'6" guard, younger brother of RJ Hampton. Offered Dawson Batee, who I think is an absolute stud. I call him Al Horford light. 6'8" power forward from Dallas St. Mark's. He is the son of Derek Batee from South Oak Cliff, who was a star player there at one state, went on the Temple and was really good. And his uncle's Tony Batee from Texas Tech, first-round pick in the NBA draft. So a lot of names to know with some interesting ties. In 26, Texas also offered both the twin sons of Theo Ratliff, who are both 6'11", and as you would think, are shot blockers and skilled guys. So, and first official visits start a week from Saturday for Texas basketball.
Jeez, it just never ends. All right, that's going to do it for this Monday night's Talkin' Ball. For Jerry Hamilton, as well as our producer, Matt Hutchinson, will you hold me to? I'm Bobby Burton, and thanks for watching Talkin' Ball. We'll be back in the morning, guys, with coffee and football. Also, if you need last up-to-the-minute updates on recruiting, make sure you check out our website, ontexasfootball.com. Got a lot of stuff there on the message boards, not only Jerry, but also CJ, Blake, and Jeff Howe, and myself as well. Thanks so much. You guys have a good night. Hook 'em.